Good morning, everyone. Hope you are well. Big up to all of you for being here bright and early. Apologies that I'm a little bit late. My laptop, after I'd set everything up, decided that it needed to restart. Must be working too hard. Big up to all of you for being here. I hope you had a great evening. I hope you had a great day yesterday, and I hope that you have a good day planned for yourselves today. Big up to everyone who's early in the chat. Let's shout them out. We've got Geordie Tune for Life. We've got Mustafa. We've got Charlie. Hope you're well, Chazza. We've got Ash. Hope you're well, bro. We've got Robin. We've got Chris. We've got Carol in the chat. We've got Mike in the chat. We've got Tony. We've got Emerson. And we've got Dan. And we've got Mum. Hope you are all well. And I hope that you have a nice day planned. We've got a lot to talk about today. There's a lot of players that are now starting to be linked with clubs. This transfer window is starting to hot up. And if you haven't done so already, please make sure you check out last night's show. It got very spicy, very heated, as it always does with D and Lawless and Billy, and we had Mo Salah on as well. So please make sure you go check that one out. Some interesting news as far as PSG are concerned and Napoli are concerned. So please make sure you go check that one out last night as well. Got more shows for you later on this evening. I've got a one-on-one with Tom Canton. Do not miss that one. That one's going to be good. That one's at 5 p.m. tonight. So please make sure that you are joining in and tuned in for that one. And we've got a video to drop around about lunchtime today as well. So plenty of content for you. Let's get into the transfer news. There's quite a lot this morning that we got to talk about. As ever, it's starting to get very, very busy now, which is good because there's a lot for us to talk about and discuss. This morning, links with this guy yet again. And to be fair, he's been linked to quite a few times to different clubs. I think there's going to be a little bit of a battle in the coming days for this guy. And we're talking about Eze. I'm a big fan. I really like him. I think he's an excellent footballer. I think he's versatile. I think he can play in a number of positions. Right wing, left 8, attacking 10. Probably could even play as a false 9. He's got that much ability. I think he's a talent. And so do Crystal Palace. However, as much as they want to keep him, he's got a £60 million release clause with £8 million in add-ons. That is a very good price for a player of his age that is that versatile, that has the ceiling of Eze. I think this is going to happen this summer. I really do. I don't think Palace want to sell him, but I don't think they've got much of a choice, because I think that when you have a release clause, someone activates that, you ain't really got any chance. And I think Eze would be willing to listen to other clubs. Now, I don't think those clubs would be a Newcastle or an Aston Villa or a Spurs. I think he's going to try and get as best of a deal as he can. I think it's between 3 clubs, in my honest opinion: Manchester City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. I think Man United also could probably look at the way things are there structure-wise. But it's Manchester City at the moment who are looking most likely. It says in the Mirror that City are considering a move for the Palace winger Eze, with a 26-year-old international having a release clause of the £60 million plus add-ons, which is £8 million add-on. Now, where does he play in the Manchester City side? Well, he won't, will he? He'll be a backup player. He'll be competition. He could actually start in this Arsenal side. Hear me out. He actually could start in this Arsenal side. He could be the left 8 with Reiss as the 6. Now, whether you want that, whether you want Reiss in the 8, Reiss in the 6, that's a completely different debate and another discussion for another time. But Eze would get a lot more playing time at Arsenal than he would at Manchester City. Eze would be great cover for Saka. Eze would be able to play in a couple of positions other than just left 8 and, of course, cover for Saka. I think he could be cover for Ødegaard. I think this is a no-brainer for Arsenal. I think it has to happen, personally. This is a player that I think we can go and activate the release clause, £60 million. I think we should do it. Now, I don't think that we will until we know what's happening with Nico Williams, but I certainly believe that if we can't get Nico Williams, then Eze is the guy. Links with Pedro Neto, links with other Arsenal players, but Eze, I think there's going to be a battle on. I know Liverpool was sniffing around him. Manchester United said to be interested. Arsenal have mentioned him. He was at Arsenal's youth academy and left at 12, if you remember. 12 years old, Eze left Arsenal. So he's obviously got links there previously. Maybe he could come home. But Manchester City are the favourites at the moment. And the reason they're the favourites is because of the uncertain future of Kevin De Bruyne. Now, there is definite interest from the Saudi Arabian clubs here. And Al Ittihad say that they want the 33-year-old. KDB, it has led Manchester City to weighing up a deal for Eze. Now, I think if he was to go, it would have to be for the right price, but he would have to want to force the move. So he would have to say to Manchester City, look, I'm not signing a new deal. You've got to sell me. Otherwise, I'm walking for a free. And selling Kevin De Bruyne for all of his time for nothing would be a little bit of a strange one. It would leave a bit of a bad taste in Man City's mouth for him to just walk for free, in my opinion. So let's see where we go here with KDB. Gary's saying there's breaking news at the moment to say that he's staying at Man City. So keep an eye on this one. The rumours overnight were that the reason they're linked with Eze is because of KDB. Well, listen, if KDB doesn't go, they don't need Eze, and Arsenal can get him. That's the way I see it. So yeah, let me know if that's true, Gary, because I can't see anything at the moment. So let me know about that one. But Kevin De Bruyne I think over the coming days, we will find out what's happening, whether he's staying at City or whether he's going to be going to Man City. Going to Saudi Arabia. Listen, if he stays at Manchester City, it's great news for City, but they're going to lose him for nothing. He's going to walk at the end of the season. So that might not be the best news if you're a Manchester City fan. Or if you don't care and you're happy to see him go on a free, then listen, he's done 7 years. He's been fantastic at Manchester City. Absolutely phenomenal. So there we go. It's just come up on Sky Sports 5 minutes ago. Thanks, bro. Much appreciate that. I would look, but I'm live doing about 400 other things at the moment. So please, someone take a look for me on Sky Sports, and if it's breaking, then yeah, we can say that KDB looks to be staying. I'm on the website now. Here we go. Pep insists De Bruyne won't leave Manchester City this summer. Oh, there we go. So Pep Guardiola is saying he doesn't want to sell him. Does that mean that KDB wants to stay at Manchester City? And this is what I mean by it's all about what he wants to do. Now, Manchester City can keep him for a year if they want. Pep Guardiola has probably told him, I'm off next year, so just stay with me for my final year. And and we'll both leave City together. Maybe that's what will happen. I don't see a future for Pep and KDB long term at Manchester City now. But I could be wrong. Maybe they're both really happy and they want to spend another 5 years together. I've no idea. Listen, that's the rumour of KDB. There's obvious rumours that I think have a little bit more legs, if I'm honest with you, with the goalkeeper, Ederson. Now, there is a price. ESPN is suggesting that Manchester City are willing to let him leave as long as their valuation is met, but it will cost at least £40 million, which I still think is an absolute steal for a world-class goalkeeper who's just turned 30. I think this would be a fantastic signing for the Saudi Arabian side, personally, for that much money. I mean, we're talking about goalkeepers at the moment that are being 60 and 70 million that haven't really done much in their career, like the likes of Michael Maignan or Diogo Costa. They've all got 60 million valuation. Well, Ederson should be close to that, in my opinion. So I think it will be very, 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 very sad for Manchester City to see Ederson go. So they're going to have to replace him. Now, what do? If Manchester City were to let this one go through and they were to say, look, valuation's been met, it's 45 million and, he's on 600k a week or whatever it is. How do they replace him? Do they go in and have faith in Ortega, who is a very good goalkeeper, by the way? Do they promote him and buy a backup goalkeeper? Or do they go in and buy another number one? Now, I think they are looking to go and replace him. According to reports in France, it looks, and in Italy, by the way, Sky reports in Italy, suggest that this is the guy they want, Donnarumma. I've always been a fan. I like him. They're interested in the Italian goalkeeper. He's 25, as they look to replace Ederson. Now, I don't know if PSG are interested in selling him. I don't know if he would be interested in moving. But certainly Manchester City are a club that would be very, very tempting. And I think Donnarumma may well be interested in talking. Now, Ederson's got to go first. They're not going to get Donnarumma in on top of Ortega and Ederson. But that is the guy that they are targeting. I'm surprised by this. I didn't see this one coming. I thought it would be potentially Diogo Costa or Michael Maignan or maybe even Jan Oblak or I don't know, maybe even Emi Martinez or somebody like that. But Donnarumma is the guy they want. And Manchester City have got to be careful here because Ederson is so pivotal to how they play. They have to get a similar style goalkeeper. Now, all the modern day goalkeepers are similar now. They're all good with their feet. They've all got good attributes in terms of their kicking and distribution. They all definitely have an understanding of how to play out from the back and be that kind of extra centre-back when they're in possession. But they have to allow their goalkeeper to be that way. Because for me, if you start to change the goalkeeper to more of an old school style, it might mess up how Pep wants to play out from the back. So Ederson has been pivotal. If you remember, he had Joe Hart. He just thought, no, definitely don't want that to be the case. Got rid of him. Claudio Bravo come in. Then he realised very quickly he couldn't do the job. And then he got Ederson. And to be fair, they haven't looked back. He's been phenomenal, hasn't he? He really has. So I believe that he will be missed if he was to be leaving. But there are, of course, reports and rumours suggesting that it isn't 100% set. So I think we have to keep an eye on this one. It could be the case that they do not come to an agreement in Saudi Arabia with either Kevin De Bruyne or Ederson, and they still go and get the likes of Eze or Dani Olmo and like. So Manchester City, let's not get too excited that their players are starting to leave. It doesn't look like there's a mass exodus like some people want. But let's be real. It could still happen. Let's move away from Manchester City because there are some rumours that are moving some Manchester United players away. We've spoken about Jadon Sancho for quite some time in the last few weeks. At the moment, France reports suggesting that PSG want him. They are looking at the 24-year-old. They're looking at Manchester United's winger Jadon Sancho, and the England forward appears open to the idea of joining. Well, of course he would. This is PSG. They're going to give him a lot of money. And I still believe, in heart of hearts, he wants out of Manchester United. If there was a new manager coming in under the new structure, I think Sancho would be interested in staying at Manchester United because I think he does want to stay in England. However, he's not been shy before of moving abroad. Had a fantastic career over in Dortmund, who give him the opportunity to allow him to come back to the Premier League and play for Manchester United. At the moment, PSG are very, very much interested. I don't know how much this one would cost, but I think Manchester United from 40 million upwards would be interested in discussing it. So this one could be very, very interesting. The reason this gets even more interesting, however, is that they're also interested in a double sweep at Manchester United, and they're very much interested in their captain, Bruno Fernandes. Now, there's reports over from France as well, from L'Equipe, that says PSG are also interested in Man United's midfielder Bruno Fernandes, who's 29 now. I think Bruno could have a really good season at Manchester United this season with a new structure and new built midfield around it. I actually think Manchester United's midfield could bang. I won't go too much into it, but if you're looking at Ugarte, you're looking at Kobe Mainu, and you're looking at Bruno Fernandes, I think Bruno will only improve from that. And as much as I hate him, and I mean I hate him, he honestly 100% could have a good season. And he is creative. He's a creative player. You've got to be interested in that for sure if you're PSG. But Manchester United should try and keep hold of him because I think in the creative role in the number 10, I think he's going to do well this season. I really do. If, of course, Manchester United continue in their sights for what is a completely different 11. Sticking with Manchester United, Branthwaite. We've got to talk about him because Romano suggests that Everton are preparing to offer Branthwaite an improved deal to convince him to reject Man United. This one won't go away, people. I don't know what's happening here. Obviously, Ugarte is linked at the moment. De Ligt we spoke about is being linked at centre-back. There are other options that Manchester United are looking at centre-back also. They want 2 or 3. They've got Lenny Yoro. Looks like De Ligt's coming in. Will they go for a third? Jared Branthwaite rumour will not go away. And Everton obviously seem worried that the 22-year-old may be looking at getting very, very tempted at Manchester United. Now, they obviously want a valuation of crazy money, which is 70 to 80 million. That is a phenomenal amount of money for a 22-year-old who's not really got an England career yet and has hardly played any football other than this season at Everton. So I don't think they're going to get anywhere near that, but maybe they're trying to push for as close to 60, 65 as they can. And it's up to Manchester United whether they decide that that is a good move or not. So I think we have to be realistic about that. So, yeah, keep an eye on Jared Branthwaite. It could still happen. Let's see. Next, we're going to move on to another team which are looking at a striker. Now, there's a couple of rumours suggesting that there may be a few players out before there's a few players in. João Felix is the name that they want in, and it is, of course, Aston Villa. Now, Aston Villa yesterday sold Moussa Diaby over to Saudi Arabia for around £60 million. That is a deal that might spark rumours of a new forward coming in at Aston Villa. Now, Nico Williams and Mikel Merino are two players that Unai Emery really admires, but he has his heart set on Barcelona. So does Merino. Arsenal very much interested if both those players are not interested in moves to Barcelona, or if Barcelona deals were to collapse. Aston Villa have also put their name in the hat for those two, but João Felix is one that they see as more realistic. And it seems, has reported, that this could happen. It's a player from The Guardian that they apparently admire. He's 24 years old still. He's not even that old, João Felix. It feels like he's been around forever. He's at Atletico Madrid still. There's been breakdown in relationship with Diego Simeone. I'm not sure they'll ever really get that back. But due to Moussa Diaby leaving and the money they've got from him, they believe they can try to do a deal to tempt João Felix to Aston Villa, which would be a good signing as far as Aston Villa are concerned. However, there's question marks over why João Felix has never settled. Why has he never been able to, since Atletico Madrid, settle somewhere? He's tried it at Chelsea. It didn't work, although it's very hard to settle there at the moment. Barcelona hasn't really worked out. And Atletico Madrid, he's not been able to hold down a position and has fallen out. So is there something wrong with his mentality? Is there an attitude problem there? Could Unai Emery sort that out and allow some of his form to return? Because when he was at Benfica, he was looked at as being one of the next best things. But we've seen that before with players. We've seen that before with players, and it hasn't always worked out. So I think we need to be realistic about this one. It could happen. It could go to Villa, 100%. But will he work for Aston Villa? Now, Aston Villa have actually made some good moves. I can't lie. Matson's been a good signing. Ross Barkley on a free is a good signing. Onana from Everton is a good signing. They've lost Diaby, and of course they're looking now to get João Felix in, and they're not done there. So their squad's actually starting to build, and Aston Villa as a squad now is starting to look stronger, particularly in their midfield. I mean, wow, when you've got Buendia coming back, Kamara coming back, obviously they've still got Jacob Ramsey that they want to try and keep and not sell to Spurs is the latest. So Aston Villa on top of that with John McGinn, with Tielemans, they basically, added Ross Barkley. This is a strong squad they're starting to build at Villa now. I do look and I think, are they stronger than last year? Maybe they are. If they was to sign a couple more, then they definitely would be. But Unai Emery is the reason that a lot of people are excited about Aston Villa. So I think it could be a good season for Villa again. So we'll have to see what happens there. I think Unai Emery is such an underrated manager, by the way. I know it went wrong at Arsenal, but it was a different structure then. I don't think we can look at that. I think he's done a wonderful job at Aston Villa, in my opinion. That's for sure. Let's move to another team, shall we? Because the Times are reporting a move for this guy, Richarlison, currently at Spurs, along with Bruno Fernandes, one that I really cannot stand in the Premier League. But Tottenham value the Brazil forward at 60 million. Well, they bought Richarlison for 60 million. He's done absolutely nothing at Spurs. So I don't know how they expect to get their money back. But it is because it is the Saudi Pro League club, Al Ahly, that have indicated they're interested in signing the 27-year-old. And this is the same club that are looking at Gabriel Jesus. Now, it might be that they want one or the other. It might be they want both. But if they're getting 60, then I want 70 for Jesus. That's all I'm saying. He's younger, he's better, and he's done more in his career. That's what I'm going to say. So I think it could be a one that has legs. This Tottenham would be willing to sell him. I mean, why wouldn't they? He's not exactly the nicest of players to have around. He's not done anything since he's come from £60 million. If they can get their money back from him and he goes over to Saudi and earns a lot of money, I think it'd be a good move for Spurs. And they actually do need, in my opinion, Tottenham to start adding some quality to their front line. Now, they're linked with Eze, they're linked with Neto, they were linked with Tony. Wow, they get them free, then Tottenham could easily start to push towards Arsenal, Manchester City with signings like that. So that could be very worrying. But, of course, Richarlison at the moment is still there. Does this one have some legs? I think, personally, it probably does. I don't think that Tottenham will be desperate to cling on to Richarlison. I don't think he's a player that Tottenham fans adore and love. He's a horrible player. Certainly one you want on your team and not away from your team. To play against, he's awful. But he's not that great of a footballer either. So I think we need to be realistic about that one. I think it might have some legs. I don't know how much legs, but I do know that it's a player that Saudi Arabia are looking at as well. And if they're starting to look at Richarlison and Jesus, maybe they'll start to look at some other Brazilian players as well coming over. I was speaking to Mohammed Saleh last night on the channel who says, look, the Saudi leagues, they are serious. They are not one of these China or MLS things that will just die out in the next year. Carrasco and Oscar and Hulk and Pella all going to China was the level. This is different level. This is Kante's and Ronaldo's and Mahrez's and Benzema's. This is a different level. So I don't know. I personally still don't know that the grass is always greener over there, as Jordan Henderson found out. But when you're seeing players like Moussa Diaby, Gabriel Jesus, and Richarlison being linked, yeah, maybe he's right. Maybe it has got more legs over in Saudi, and they might actually keep hold of some of their players and keep some of them happy. Money does talk, after all. Let's be real about that. So that's that. Now we're going to talk about this player from Bayern Munich, and I always used to call him Mazraoui, but apparently the pronunciation is Mazraoui, and Mazraoui is linked at the moment currently with Manchester United and West Ham. Sky Sports Germany are reporting that both United and West Ham are competing to sign the Morocco right back Mazraoui from Bayern Munich. They want around 19 million for the 26-year-old. It's a player that Arsenal were linked with a while ago. I'm not so sure where they got him from. I believe it was Ajax, but don't quote me on that. But he's been very consistent, very good player. He's one now that Arsenal have moved on from. But West Ham and Manchester United are looking both at this player. Right back for Manchester United, it does surprise me. However, what could happen here, in my opinion, with West Ham involved, if Manchester United really do want this player and they want West Ham out the picture, they might allow them to sign this guy. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a player that West Ham have been touting for a while, looking at for a while. Manchester United would be willing to sell him. I think defensively, the guy's sound. I think one-on-one defending, he's fantastic, in fact. I don't think he offers anything else. I really don't. I don't see him as a player that offers anything but one-on-one defending. So would he want to move away from Manchester United? Well, at the moment, he's not playing first-team football. He's behind Dalot. Over on the left-hand side, Manchester United, I don't think he's going to get a place there. Certainly not ahead of Luke Shaw. They've got Malacia to come back. They're linked with left-backs as well. And would not surprise me, and don't rule this one out, if Lisandro Martinez doesn't start playing a lot more as a left-back like he did at Ajax with the defenders that are coming in. I'm not so sure that Lisandro Martinez will start every game at centre-back. So that one could be one to look at. But Mazraoui is a player that probably out of those two clubs would be more likely to go to Manchester United. West Ham are still looking and keeping tabs on both Wan-Bissaka, but also on Kyle Walker-Peters as well. So that might allow West Ham to be more out of the mix when it comes to Mazraoui. If he does go to Old Trafford, as Sky Sports have suggested, West Ham will probably look to pursue a deal elsewhere. And as I say, they're linked with good right. I actually think Kyle Walker-Peters would be a fantastic signing for West Ham. I really do. Can play right and left back. And I think he would be superb. So let's see what happens here. Kyle suggests from The Athletic that Barcelona are pushing heavily to sign Dani Olmo. This is unbelievable. If they get Dani Olmo, Merino and Williams, then they've pretty much secured the European winning Spanish side, because they've already got Lamine Yamal on that right-hand side. Imagine that midfield with De Jong. Wow. Imagine Pedri, Gavi, De Jong, Merino, Williams and Yamal and Olmo. 7 of the best midfielders that their country have got. It's crazy. I'm obviously not De Jong, but yeah, the others. Wow. Incredible if this is true. I would love I think Dani Olmo, Merino, Williams would all be phenomenal signings. And do you know what? If they want to sign these players and they want to get rid of one, we'll have De Jong, please. We'll have De Jong. That's what I'll say. Let's move to sticking with West Ham. Sorry. They are linked with Somerville. Now, this is a player that I can see moving, if I'm honest with you. It's a player that I can see making a move. But also Fulham, very, very interested in Crescencio Somerville as well. I don't know what the price is. They're talking 30 to 35 million that Leeds want, which is a lot of money for a championship player. But he does look a talent, doesn't he? He was by far the best player in the championship last season. And Leeds want to try and keep hold of him because they want to get back up to the Premier League. Would West Ham spend this much money on this player who can play as a striker, as a 10, as a wide player? It would be a very good signing for West Ham or Fulham if he was to come along. I think it would be a very good signing for him. What does that mean, however, as far as West Ham are concerned? for Reiss Nelson. As we move on to Arsenal news to close, what does it mean for Reiss Nelson? Do they want Reiss Nelson still? Do they get Somerville and Reiss Nelson? Can they afford Somerville and Reiss Nelson? Are West Ham still interested in John Duran over at Villa? I think this is an interesting point to segue into Arsenal, but to finish on West Ham. West Ham under Tim Steinton are actually starting to make some moves. I think Max Kilman was a lot of money, but a good signing. I think if they were to get Reiss Nelson in, I think it would be a good signing. If they was to get Somerville in, it would be a good signing. They're looking at their defensive options still, with Tomori and Tadibo being linked to partner Max Kilman. We've spoken about Mazraoui, Wan-Bissaka and Kyle Walker-Peters at right back, and wide players now and Reiss Nelson as well. If they could get a striker, John Duran, Eddie Nketiah maybe they're going for, then I think West Ham have had a good window, because they're the sort of players that they need, in my opinion, the positions they need covered. So, yeah, man, I think they could have an all right window. Like, real talk, I've always bantered West Ham, always bantered their fans. But I have to be real, I think they could have a good window. I really do. I think they could. I think the window could shut and they actually could be looking at it thinking, this could be interesting. Like, I think this could be a good window. But moving to Arsenal news, there's not much to report on at the moment. Calafiori is still not happening. Mikel Merino and Nico Williams, they're waiting to see what happens with Barcelona, but it looks like they're both going to leave their clubs in Spain. Are they going to stay in Spain, or are they going to come over to England? That is all debatable and up in the air at the moment. But something that isn't debatable is Eddie Nketiah leaving Arsenal. Now, it looks as if the French club Marseille have agreed personal terms with Nketiah and are confident of completing a deal for the striker. That's from L'Equipe in France. This could happen, but how much is it? And how much is Eddie Nketiah worth? Is Eddie Nketiah a player that is worth less than what Elliot Anderson went for from Newcastle? Not for me. I don't think I personally do not see how Elliot Anderson can go for £35 million and Eddie could go for 20. Like, it just makes no sense to me. And Arsenal have been poor in player sales over the years. You know, apart from Balogun of recent times, Iwobi, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, you've got to go as far back as Anelka or Overmars when it comes to how much we've received in money and sales for Arsenal players that we've sold. That's poor. We've sold some players for very, very cheap. And over the years, we've had players like Matteo Guendouzi, who was linked at 50 million to PSG and Barcelona. We ended up selling them for about 10 million. Bellerin, at one stage, Barcelona were really interested in bringing him back when he was at his best at Arsenal for around about 50 million. He ended up going for absolutely nothing to Real Betis in the end. You've got the scenario with Ainsley Maitland-Niles, where Wolves have offered £20 million for one of our Arsenal players, and we ended up selling him for free to Lyon. Kieran Gibbs, I remember West Brom said, we'll give you 15 million. We said no. We sold him for 7 million a year later. This has been poor over the years. We've got to get better at this. And I think the different regime now with Mikel Arteta and Edu, they know that. They know that they've got to get money for these players, which is why we're now being seen for Ramsdale's now 50 million. Eddie Nketiah, they want 50 million. Smith-Rowe, they want 50 million. Nelson, they want 25 million. We're not going to be looking to sell these players for cheap anymore. And that is about time that we did that. It's got to be about time that we did that. Now, it doesn't mean we're going to get all that money back. It doesn't mean we're going to get 50 million for Ramsdale and 50 for Eddie. What it does mean is they're not going to go for cheap. If you start saying your players are 50 million, they will not go in with a bid at 15 million. If you say your player is for sale, they'll try and get him for 10, 15 million. So I understand what Arsenal and Edu are doing here. I understand why they're looking at the price tag as being big. And look at the way the market's going. It's absolutely crazy. So watch what happens with Eddie Nketiah here. Because Eddie at Marseille, if we can get as close to 40 million, that would be a good deal. I would accept anything over 30, personally, because I think he's probably worth 25 million. So if you put anything above that, then fair play. In this market, though, he probably is worth 40 million, because look at who else is going. If John Duran was being touted at 50 million, then how much is Eddie Nketiah? I mean, let's be real. It's absolutely crazy. But there is a crazy, crazy, crazy rumour that we are potentially still looking at another defender. And Mark Guehi is the guy that the Metro are reporting Arsenal are looking at. And Arsenal are apparently prepared to offer Eddie Nketiah as part of a swap deal with Crystal Palace centre-half Mark Guehi. So could Eddie, plus some money, with Mark Guehi coming the other way, be a move? Now, people might think, what the hell does that mean for defenders? Why do we need another defender? I've said for a while now that a right-sided centre-back would be something that we need when Saliba was to get injured. Maybe Mikel Arteta is looking at that thinking, you don't win anything without a back line, and I'm going to make sure mine's solid. Mark Guehi and Saliba are the right-sided covers. Gabriel and Calafiori as the left-sided covers. Timber and Tomiyasu and Zinchenko and Calafiori can all play left back. Ben White, Tomiyasu and Jurriën Timber can all play right back. Kind of makes sense in my head. Do we pay a lot of money for this guy? I don't think we go and spend 50, 60 million. We shelved the interest when Palace suggested they wanted 75 million for Guehi. He had a very good tournament, but does that make him worth that much money? I think maybe Ben White money plus a bit more, maybe 50 to 60 million for Mark Guehi would be fair because of this day and age and the market we've got. I think he's a great, great centre-half, by the way, but I don't think he's going to come to Arsenal to sit on the bench. And I'll be amazed if there's a massive amount of truth in this one. I really would. So I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that has got legs. But Eddie Nketiah is a player that I do expect to leave. And I also believe that he'll go and have a good career somewhere. I don't think he's an outstanding talent, but I certainly wish him the best of luck when he does go. Likewise, Reiss Nelson. Likewise, if Smith-Rowe was to leave, I wish them all the best because I honestly believe that it would be good to see them have a career elsewhere. Not go light up the Premier League because, of course, we don't want them to be too good because we wanted them to be good at Arsenal. But I think they are players that need to go and get first-team football now. And if they can't get it at Arsenal, then we can't be complaining when they're going and trying to get it elsewhere, that's for sure. So let's see. This one could be very, very interesting. That's all from me today, people. It looks as if it's going to start hotting up. Make sure you keep an eye on Fabrizio Romano. Make sure you keep an eye on David Ornstein. Make sure you are keeping up to date with all of the transfer news that Sky Sports offer and what all the channels offer as well. Please make sure that you've hit like on this video. Please. We've got over 200 people still watching, so please make sure you hit the like button. We've only got 50 likes. That's terrible. Come on, we can get that up to 100 easily with the amount of people that are watching. All you've got to do is click the like button. It's absolutely free to do, so please make sure that you do that. And even more importantly, make sure you hit subscribe because we're very, very close to 22k, which is the next full target for 30k. That is what we need as quickly as possible. So please make sure you hit likes. People are finally listening to me. Wow, you actually do it when I ask you to. You're such a good community. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you every morning. I do enjoy these shows. And to be honest, I think they're going to just start getting more and more busier as the weeks go on or as the days go on now because there's not much time left before pre-season and the Premier League season kicks off. So please make sure that you do that. Hit the like button, hit subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. And as always, up the Arsenal. Latest, people.